Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the interviews from the RepcoLite Home Improvement Show. I'm Dan Hansen, and I'm excited to share today's conversation with you because I think it's one that's going to resonate with a lot of people. Recently, I had the privilege of sitting down with Ginger Martin. Ginger's a carpenter who learned the trade at a time, when women in carpentry were few and far between. Honestly, there aren't that many in the field today, but back when Ginger jumped in, there were way less. In the course of our conversation, we talk about everything from the struggles that she had to overcome to the life-changing experiences that just came about by doing these things around the house and on the job site. Ginger found out that by working to develop a skill, by getting comfortable with tools, and by learning, day by day, mistake by mistake, learning how your home works, by doing all of those things, you gain confidence. And more importantly, even, you gain the willingness to jump in to the next big thing. You never get to that next big thing unless you take that first little step. And we're going to talk about all of that. We'll also discuss the importance of the trades, how they're a brilliant career path for many people, providing you the opportunity to make a great living without accruing a mountain of college debt. The whole thing is an inspiring, practical, and empowering conversation. I'm sure you're going to enjoy it. Now, before we dive in, if you do enjoy this kind of content, please give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, do all the things you're supposed to do. Do all of that, and then you won't miss out on interviews like this in the future. And if you do want to share your thoughts, your experiences, anything like that, drop a comment below. I'd absolutely love to hear from you. All right, let's get to the interview with Ginger Martin. So your dad was a carpenter and an architect?
Yeah. Well, my family is craftsmen. I would say way back in the day. I think my dad was born like 1927. So, my uncles were tilesmen, floor people, plasterers. So my grandfather and uncle on his side were carpenters. So he kind of grew up in it too. Then he went to the military and decided he wanted to study architecture. So, that's whenever he studied architecture.
Yeah, that was a kind of a big shift, right? I mean, the whole architect, you're still in the field, but that's a little different approach, a different angle to it.
Yeah, it is. It's almost like the cherry on top of the cake, if you ask me, because you already know how to do carpentry, but now you learn how to draw the drawings. So I guess he wanted to take it to the next level. He wanted to do it something a little more, I don't want to say educated. He wanted to be a contractor. And so he learned architecture, and that was his journey.
So you got uncles, you said your uncles were in it. As far, it was everywhere in the family. You guys had everything covered. Whatever you needed done, you had somebody who could do it.
Yeah. You know what? Well, my dad had a friend who was a plumber. I was just thinking, we didn't have any plumbers or electricians, but he had friends that did the other trades. But yeah, for as far as
that's got to pay off, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think it really does because so I'm originally from New Orleans. So when Hurricane Katrina hit, I was actually leaving New Orleans that day, but it paid off because of all the trades in the family. When people had to come back together to put their houses together, there was everybody. There was always somebody that could do the drywall, everything that needed to be done.
So you guys were all involved in that?
I wasn't personally there because I had left. I was leaving.
The whole family.
But yeah, the rest of the family, there was always a tradesperson that knew how to do different things. Yeah.
No, my kid's an electrician, and that alone has been incredibly helpful.
Yeah.
So many little projects, and I can point them out. Hey, could you take care of this for me, or look at it? And what I really find with him is he's a young, apprentice. He's closing in on journeyman. But what he'll do is he's looking for things to fix now.
Yeah.
So he'll bring things to my attention, and I could do this for you and get this switched around. And he'll always do it, he'll do it on his weekends and stuff. So that's good. But I still have to buy the parts.
Yeah, but he loves what he's doing, and that's awesome.
Yeah, he loves demonstrating. I think one of my favorite things of watching this whole thing, evolve for him is he loves demonstrating the knowledge that he's got.
Yeah.
He's the expert when it comes to this. And
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
weird shift for us because previously, I would lead the way on whatever. And now, oh yeah, I got to take a back seat because he knows what
Yeah.
he's doing. It's
That's
really
such a
fun.
good, that you must be really proud. I remember that stage.
Yeah. So did
Yeah.
you have brothers? You have other
Um,
siblings? What do you get?
yeah, actually I'm the youngest of seven. So 4 boys and 3 girls. And yeah, and that's kind of how I got into it because my dad trained all of the boys and my dad was a union contractor. So we moved to Michigan from New Orleans when I was like 5. So the boys were all being trained to be carpenters and the girls all worked in the office.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you broke the mold?
And yes, when I came up, I was like, well, let's see, they're getting paid $15 and they're getting paid 7. And yeah, I thought I can do this. I can do this. So after a lot of conversations and, convincing to give me a shot and let me try. Yeah, he finally actually
Wow.
I find when I think back on it, I always tell people I actually was pretty cheeky because he had retired by the time I came along. All of my brothers were off on their own, different states doing their own thing. And here I come out of high school and say, I want to be a carpenter. And he's like, I'll retire. And I said, I don't do that anymore. Yeah. Yeah. And I told him, I said, well, you're just going to have to come out of retirement. Like you taught everybody else. Like you have to teach me. I can't take no for an answer. So he put a proposition. He said, all right, well, what I taught your brothers in 4 years, you're going to have to learn in 2 years. So, oh my God, I sometimes look back and I think I should have just went to college. But because that was a hard 2 years. We would come home from work and he would throw project management books at me and you need to read this. And oh my God.
He ran you through it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, oh my God, I had to know like the weight of all the nails, like how much weight all the nails. Oh my, he took me through it. Yeah.
Oh, really?
But
all of that plays in.
Yeah. And just like your son, at the end of the journey, when I started, people didn't want me on the job because what is she doing out here? That type of, atmosphere. And then like 2 years later, I was being requested, is she working? Can she come out? Ask her if she wants to work on the weekend. And so
that
I had
feels
made
great.
that.
That's really cool.
And that was really cool. Yeah.
I know. I see. We're a paint company. So, we run a paint company and we do this show. And, that's just part of our marketing and all of that.
Yeah.
So I worked in a paint store and I remember starting the store and you're working under this guy who's been there for 20, 30 years. And yeah, it was the same thing. I'm a guy, but so I didn't have that, wall to break through as well. But yeah, the painters did not want anything to do with me.
Why?
Because I'm brand new, I don't know anything. I don't know what they're talking about. I've got to learn. And so it took a while. But yeah, the same thing happened. And I remember the day when somebody came in and, oh, okay, I'll go see if the man, I just assumed he wanted to talk to somebody else.
Yeah.
And he asked for me. He wanted me because I'd helped him with something and it went well.
Yeah.
And then you realized, oh, I broke through. And for you, that's an even bigger thing because you're in a field where there's not a lot of women at that point, right? There's not a lot of women in it now yet.
In 19. Actually, I think in the States, it's like 4% women in construction, which I find kind of like, because I work in Vegas. And so like, I know a lot of women carpenters and it's just like, I know we're still a big minority, but 4%, it was like, oh my God, like,
yeah, that seems way low.
That's pretty low. But when I came out there on the job, I think my first union job that I was on without any family member was in California, and the job was over 1,000 men, and there was 4 women on the job. And there was a carpenter apprentice and me. So there was like 2 carpenters and an electrician and a laborer that were out there. But yeah.
Do you get a lot of flack? Do the guys you're working with give you flack as well?
They
Not
try.
Just the customers that
I can give it back.
Yeah.
I mean, there's going on a job that big, you always have to prove yourself. And so they're always, they're always talking, A lot of times, or usually, I stay really quiet into myself because I like to feel things out. I don't get involved with uh, the sex jokes and there's a lot of things, and I'll just kind of leave the area or whatever. But it gives people the impression that like I'm not going to entertain that or get involved in that. And then after a while, they start seeing I can. One guy told me, "You swing that hammer better than some of the men I know." Oh, well, yeah, that's too bad for them.
Yeah.
So after a while, you start people will start realizing, hey, she actually knows what she's doing. She can handle herself. And then you get a different level of communication, I guess, where it's not just kind of jokes or sly remarks or whatever.
Yeah.
And then, my partner and I on that same job, we pretty much became like the go-to people because I couldn't get along with most of the guys I was being put with. So I would always ask to be transferred, to just send me somewhere else. And they sent me with this older guy that had a really nasty attitude. And I always joke because I tell, I'm still friends with a few of them. And I say, yeah, I think they thought we would kill each other or just quit out of frustration.
Maybe you'll drive each other away. And then...
Yeah, but we ended up getting along because he was a really good carpenter. And we ended up getting along, and then we just became like our own little crew, and they would just send us on projects, to put out fires and take care of stuff. Yeah.
So I know that, you grew up with it. I know that in the intro video that I watched, you talked about being on the job sites, 3 years old and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So a little kid and we're starting to work at 7, I think you said.
Well,
was that fun for your dad
working
to have
at
you
7.
along?
No,
I'm sorry. Swinging a hammer, using tools.
Oh, yeah. So when we were still in New Orleans, Hurricane Betsy hit. And we all had to go to my dad's office because it was higher ground. And I remember cleaning up. And so I just remember always being either in the office or on the job. When I was in 3rd grade, he was remodeling the church of the school that I was going to. Mm-hmm. So after school, I didn't go home. I would go to the back of the church and just help him, hand him stuff. And the nuns would bring me cookies or something. And so I don't remember not knowing the names of tools. And sometimes I would be on a job and I'd have a problem and I would be thinking, now, how can I do this? And it would just pop into my head. And a lot of times I would think, I don't even know how I know that. Like, I don't remember learning that. It just came to me.
You're just immersed in it.
Yeah. So when I was 7, my dad joked about me trying to bend a nail and staying outside for hours, hitting the nail, trying to not bend it, straighten it. It was a bent nail, and I was trying to straighten the nail. Yeah. So I always never was shy about using tools or trying to fix something or make something or, stuff like that. So, yeah.
My electrician kid, he would grab tools and use tools too. He talks about this all the time. He brings it up all the time. I don't remember it as clearly. I remember bits and pieces. I probably blocked this out. But apparently I came outside. He had been working with my drill. He got a hold of the drill, and I had a whole bunch of new spade bits. And he was drilling holes in our tree, in this huge tree, and he just had holes everywhere in it. I remember parts of that. I remember being really, really, really displeased with that whole scenario. But, he was using tools. So getting a hang on it, hang for it.
Yeah.
So did your dad like having you around? I mean, was that super cool to have his daughter want to be a part of this? Did the other girls, you said you had 2 other sisters?
2 sisters. One became a journalist. She didn't go into carpentry in any way. After she did work in the office for a while, but I think he did. I think he was really proud of me after he realized he couldn't talk me out of it, and he started teaching me. He defended me a lot whenever like other of his friends, the other contractors or whatever, would say, "Why is she out here?" And he would just say, because I'm teaching her, she wants to learn, and I'm going to teach her. And after a while, we would have a lot of fun on the job. Like my apprenticeship, it was hard because, like I said, he made me do it in 2 years, but there was so many memories from that. Like, I just want to, like, women that are getting to it or anybody that's getting into it, you're going to have your mistakes, and it's I glued my fingers together once. I have fallen through a second floor floor joist. I climbed up the ladder and I stepped on the plywood because we were putting the subfloor, and it wasn't nailed down, and I just went straight through
Oh
back
my
down to the first
goodness.
floor.
You
And
had to
yeah,
hear it that time.
oh my
Did they
God,
let you
all the
have it?
time. No,
Yeah.
well, we were both scared. Like I
Yeah.
landed on my feet, but it was like, oh my God.
How'd I
And
get here?
yeah, and I went up the ladder and bam, just like that, I was back on the first floor. So my dad used to say, he would say, you always fall in a pile of and
Yeah,
come up
yeah.
smelling like roses.
See, I always fall in that pile and I smell just like what that pile's supposed to smell like. That's how it ends for
I've
me.
been really lucky. I've fallen off ladders and I've been lucky enough to land on my feet every time. I don't know how, but I'm planted on my feet and I have that moment of shock and oh my God, and then I'm all
I'm
right.
on the
I'm all
first
right.
floor again. What the
Yeah.
heck?
I'm okay.
No, I know. Anytime you jump into this kind of work, I mean, even if you're, I was honestly, right before this interview, I was talking to a carpenter that the building that I'm in is this huge, crazy warehouse, and there's a wood shop, there's my recording
Oh,
studio,
cool.
all kinds of stuff here. And I was just talking to a carpenter in the wood shop. He does cabinetry and stuff. He's been doing it for years, years and
Hmm.
years. He's got to be, late 50s, probably mid 60s. And last year, just working fast, ran a router over his finger
Ouch.
underneath the board, where he was holding it,
Yeah, yeah. Oh my God.
and stitches. And he said it was the first time ever. He's
Yeah.
just looking at it thinking, wow, this is new. This is not good.
I
But yeah,
yeah.
all those things happen when you're using these kinds of
You
tools and jumping
know,
in. You make mistakes,
yeah. No,
but you
I
learn.
put that, and you do learn, and then you'll never make that one again.
No, not
Uh,
with that finger.
Not no, and I did that's in one of my videos of the skill saw that I talk about, like not to hold your wood while you're trying to cut and work on it because that could happen.
Oh,
And
it's just
once
crazy.
in Detroit, my brother and I were, it was some commercial building, and I was cutting a piece. It was early in the morning. I didn't want to be there in the first place, but this is just to say you need to be there. When you're at work, you have to be at work. So I was cutting the piece of plywood and I had it between the sawhorses. So
Oh,
as I got into it, it bind
yep.
and it snatched the saw back and the saw ran up my side, and it was in Detroit, so it was cold in the winter. So I had a sweatshirt on and this army jacket that I used to wear, and it happened so fast. Like I couldn't move out the way. By the time I moved, it still caught me along my side. And my brother ended up we had to take well he had to take the saw apart to get my jacket out. So if it was a summer day, I may not be alive today because that would have
So it
just
didn't
ripped
get
my
you at
whole.
all. It just got
It
your
didn't.
coat.
It wrapped the saw blade
Yeah,
wrapped
yeah,
up
wrapped up in
in
the coat.
into the coat. So yeah, but
No, that
once again, yeah, that's lessons that you just don't forget.
No, I was working on the table saw a couple years back and building because we do a lot of big events, and so we'll build all these like stage pieces, really
Hmm.
like room
Oh yeah,
vignettes. And I was cutting, I don't remember, a big sheet of plywood, a strip of plywood, and it bound against the guide, and
yeah,
it in that fast it bound. I looked at it and it shot
and
backwards.
oh
I mean, it was 3/4 inch, the thick plywood,
yeah,
and it was a 2x2 sheet square that I had cut off,
hmm
shot all the way across the room like a frisbee.
yeah,
Took stuff off the table that was sitting back there, 15 feet away. I
yeah,
kept thinking if anybody had been standing there.
yeah,
So it happens so fast. And what you said, I guess what made me think of that, well, the saw, of course,
yeah,
but being present,
hmm
I was a cut ahead in my head. I was thinking about the next thing I was going to
yeah,
do.
yeah,
And that's where I learned so clearly. Stay
yeah.
focused on exactly what I'm doing.
What
Watch my hands, watch where I'm moving things, because the saws are
exactly?
unforgiving. They're
Nope,
not
they
going
are
to
not.
play with you.
Yeah, tools. I tell people that all the time. Tools don't have brains. They're just doing what they're supposed to do. You're the one, you have to think
Yeah.
about everything.
I'm the one with the
Safety.
brain when I'm working, and that's a little scary sometimes. So When did you decide that you wanted to go into the trades? I know that you said after high school you talked to your dad. When did
Yeah.
the thought process start to
Well,
solidify in your head?
I wanted to be a figure skater. I
Really?
was a figure skater from the time I was I don't know, I started skating maybe about 10 or 11 or so.
Yeah.
And I started competing, and that's what I wanted to do. But it was I got disheartened because I had tried out for the ice capades, and they sent a letter to a place where I hadn't lived. I didn't live anymore. And by the time I got the letter, the recruitment part of it, where they were going to send for me to go out to California to train, it was
So you
already
got
over.
accepted, but
Yeah,
you just never got the letter in time.
exactly.
Well, that's a kick in the stomach.
Yeah. So that by then I was 17 or 18, I think, and I was just, so now what am I gonna do? So that was my plan B. I thought, and that's like I said, I thought, okay, so I don't want to, time goes away. Sometimes I even think about other things that I could have done, but time is gonna pass, and I thought I can pass my 8 hours or 10 hours a day sitting in the office, like I said, making $7 an hour, or I can do this and make $15 an hour. And, I just, when I was coming up watching my brothers at 14 and 15, they were tearing people's houses apart and remodeling. And I mean, big jobs like porches and
Sure.
bay windows. And they always had money. Like they always had money. And so and I always had to ask them for money. Hey, give me some money. And so when I graduated high school, I thought, yeah, I want to make the most that I can. And entering the world to me was still, I guess, a little scary. And I knew I didn't want to go to college. So I just
How
thought,
come? Why didn't you want to go to college?
I just had a bad school experience the whole time. So I just never really liked school. And I didn't, people would say, well, college is going to be different. I didn't trust that it would be. And so I just thought, I'm not doing this anymore.
No,
So,
I know. I went, and I guess it helped me. I mean, I'm sure it helped me. It didn't
mhm,
hurt me.
yeah.
Cost me some money. But other than that, I learned some stuff. Am I using it? I don't know. I guess I'm using parts of what I've learned.
Hmm.
So I don't think it was a bad thing. It's just I'm very interested because I've got 5 kids, and now we've got 3 in college. I guess I've navigated this scenario, but it was a big deal because it's expensive.
It is.
How is this going to work? My kid, the electrician, I don't know that I'd say he had a bad experience in school, but what I would say is that school wasn't his thing.
Yeah.
He did high school just fine, but I was wondering how college was going to go. He wasn't a good organizer in a sense for the schoolwork and just getting his schedule timed and doing his
Hmm.
homework on time. And I thought,
Hmm.
oh, I don't want to go back to college just to help him through college.
Oh,
How's
yeah.
that going to go? And it just wasn't his thing. And then he decided on this path, and oh my goodness, it's opened the eyes up of my other kids. I've got one who's a teacher, and she's thoroughly thrilled. 2 in college now. Both are thinking they're going to get their degree in whatever, but they're going to pursue a trade. That's what
Okay.
they're going to do. But Caleb, my kid, is just sitting on this wad of money. I mean,
Yeah,
it's ridiculous. And he doesn't have the debt. He's just got,
exactly.
oh, it's
And,
crazy.
and another thing is that by the time I was 18, I think 3 of my brothers were married and had families, and they were taking care of their families. So it was like, yeah, I could go to college, but I can also like kind of get paid while I'm learning to be a carpenter. And honestly, I made a lot, I make more money than a lot of my peers that I know that have gone to college. And I think a trade is, if anybody, women or man or woman that wants to go to through a trade, I think it's a really great thing because not only are you getting paid to learn, but especially if you join the union, you get benefits. You get everything that you would get in a more corporate setting, but the money is awesome.
Yeah. And you don't have the debt
And you don't.
that you've
Yeah.
amassed from college.
Yeah.
It's really cool. So, I guess one of the things I'm wondering about, we're talking to people. I know the Crafty Carpenter. You've got an academy
Yeah,
where
it's an online academy.
you're teaching people all these things. And, that's what we're talking about right now is just, establishing how important the trades are, the value of the trades. We all as people need people in the trades. I think that the world is waking up to that idea.
Yeah.
When I was in high school, it was unthought of that you would not go to college.
Right.
I mean, it never even crossed our minds. And my parents didn't go to college, so they were bound and determined that I was going to go. And I never even thought to question it, and when you talked about the people who became plumbers or the people, if there were any, it was not looked on well.
No.
When I was growing up, it was kind of you couldn't handle school, so you
Yeah, you're not that smart, are you?
yeah, that's what it. And
It
now
was.
we've all of us who went to college are like, well, who's going to fix our car? Who's going to build this for us? I don't. What the trim needs to go on the wall, but how?
Yeah.
And we need, all of a sudden we realize, we need all these people, and the skills and what they bring just makes the world work.
Yeah.
And so that's great. It's great that it's reviving. But so we're talking to people, trying to encourage more and more people to at least consider
it.
I'm wondering how many people are listening right now who are thinking, okay, you did it, Ginger, you did it, but you grew up in it. This is something maybe that just automatically comes natural to you. I'm not mechanically inclined. I'm not good with my hands. What do you think? I mean, you've got this academy. You've got to believe, I would think, that everybody can learn to some extent.
Oh, yeah. Everybody starts somewhere. And like I said, even me growing up with it, when I actually went into it and started, I glued my fingers together.
What'd you glue them together with? What particular
I was
glue?
putting down a floor. Back in the day, the floor tiles, they didn't come with glue. So you'd have to put the glue down with a trowel and spread the glue, and then you'd put your floor tiles in. And then as you rolled it, the glue would come up between the cracks, and you wipe that out. And so that's what I was doing. And I was trying to impress, I guess. I wanted to do the room by myself. I didn't want my dad's help. So he went outside, he was doing something else. And, I was cutting the corners, and I was really proud. It was coming out really good. But in trying to go fast, when I would get glue on my fingers, I would rub them together and try and, get the little...
get it off.
But my fingers were getting dirty, and the glue was building up. And like I said, I was trying to go fast. So they started kind of getting sticky. And then so I rubbed dirt in it to try to get the glue to come off. And I don't know. Next thing, it was contact cement.
So they're just, they're all stuck together with the contact
so the
cement.
next thing I know, now the dirt, the glue is seeping through the dirt. And then I can't move my fingers anymore. I went outside, and my dad was actually working underneath the house. So I went outside, and I told him he had to come out, and he was upset, like he was, like I said, already retired. So now that I'm under the house, now you want me to come out. So he came out the house, and I was from under the house, and I held my hands up, and he said, "Ginger," and he started laughing at me so hard. He was crying, and I started crying because he was laughing at me. And oh my God. Yeah, we had to get paint thinner and everything, just keep soaking my hands. And the whole time he was just laughing at me. And
that's so funny. I did my in-laws. So I work with paint. I work with coatings and stuff like that. We sell deck products. And so they had a deck that needed doing. And, it was early on in the whole marriage. And I'll come over. I'll help you out because I'm the expert. I know what I'm doing. And I was going to be impressive too. And I stained myself into a corner without realizing it. And I got done, and I turned around, and my father-in-law was down on the ground with his coffee looking at me. He says, "How are you going to get down?" He says, "I've been watching you for an hour. Paint yourself into that corner." I had to jump over the edge. They had to get a ladder. They debated if they were going to.
Yeah.
So yeah, you don't grow up knowing how to do this stuff, even if you grow up in it.
Right.
You still make mistakes. You still have to learn. Everybody's got to learn. But you really believe that everybody's got a shot.
I do believe that. And I do believe that there's more and more people who are interested in learning how to do it themselves, And like, you were mentioning that the before in our day that if you said you didn't want to go to college, it was kind of looked down on, but there's a lot of math in construction. Construction doesn't just happen, there's actually, it's a very mathematical process. So, but as far as learning or teaching, I think the basics is safety first with your tools and getting comfortable. Even hearing the sound of the saw, like I think a lot of people get intimidated even when they just hear the sound of a saw, and just, working past all of that and getting people comfortable using their tools. And then it's like you got to take it project by project, right? Because no two projects are the same. But if people can get comfortable using their tools, they can get comfortable with estimations of this is the project that I want to do. Like when you calculate paint for your project, there's you get comfortable with the estimations, and then there's techniques. You're going to be a better painter than me because you've done it. That's what you do. But you can
You've
tell
not seen me work, Ginger. You haven't seen me work. You're making an assumption there, but
Yeah.
I'll let you run with it because it's a very, very kind assumption.
So, but you're going to be able to tell a person who's not really good at painting what not to do, and how you can make this easier, how to spread your paint, and not just, have paint dripping all over the place. So that's just kind of what I'm trying to do so that people can. And I also think as we go into the times that we're in, and if it gets any worse, people should be familiar with how their homes are put together. Your son is an electrician. He's learning more than just electrical work. He's learning framing. He's learning because he's just around it and he's seeing it. But it's important to learn how your home is put together, because if times get really hard and you can't afford that contractor, things break. And it's good to know how to fix it and have that confidence of oh my goodness, even if it's just a temporary fix until you call a contractor, it's good to know how to use your tools and apply things to your homes.
Just being comfortable with it, just picking up some things, I think that's a huge value in what you're doing too, is even if, the people checking you out and the people listening to this show and learning stuff and people going anywhere to learn stuff doesn't necessarily mean that they need to jump into the trade with both feet. If they can still handle a couple of main projects at their home, a couple of little things that they've got to work on or things that go wrong, they understand that a little better. I mean, my goodness, I don't want to go into appliance repair, but I have learned because my dryer quit working.
Exactly.
My bank account was empty. I didn't have any, I know it's expensive. I'm starting to look online. I figured out enough to figure that thing out.
Exactly.
The $13 part. I don't want to go into the field, but I can address some issues. And once you learn one thing, my experience, I'm sure that's yours, you feel confident
to
try something else.
Exactly. I had someone was throwing a washing machine away, and I asked him if I could have it. And they gave it to me. They said, well, it's broken.
Why would you want this?
Yeah, if you want to take it. I took that washing machine apart, and what had happened was she had a toddler. His shoe had got stuck into the rinse pipe, so it wouldn't rinse. I pulled the shoe out, and I had that washing machine for years and years.
Wow. It's just brilliant, when you can do these things and you learn a little bit. I fixed air conditioner, and that's a big deal in the summer when, we came home from something and it was 80 some degrees. It was during a crazy hot heat wave by us, and 80 some degrees in the house, which is not pleasant. And I'm a gentle soul, so I need my air conditioning. And oh man, look at the bank account again. Oh, we're gonna have to figure out how to fix the air conditioner. So I'm looking around. What are the most common things? And I find there's one thing really, really common. It's the capacitor. Most of the time it could be this, if it's doing these things, because you can even tell the internet what it sounds like, what it's doing. It starts up, this happens. It's probably this. And I look into it. They gave me some troubleshooting things. It looks like that part isn't working. It's a $13 part again, or a $20 part.
Yeah.
And there's some safety things you got to do to make sure you do it right. But I fixed the air conditioner.
Yeah.
It limped through another year or two before we had to put a new one in. I mean,
that's great.
Crazy
and
cool.
You do get this confidence of, if I fix that, like fixed plumbing pipes. I've walked people through on the phone where their main water line had broken and what to do until, the city got there. Shut down the water go outside. There should be a little, cap in front of your door. So you need to shut that water off, and just, the confidence you have. And, I have a snake story. I mean, I'm sorry, an air conditioner story, too. I was pregnant, and this was in Texas, and it was so hot, and the air conditioner, it was a window unit, and it had broken, and I couldn't sleep like that. Like I can't sleep like that. So
you can't live like this.
I can't. So I get up in the middle of the night, and I'm like, I can't do this. I got to take this thing apart and see what's going on here. So I turned the air conditioner on, and it started going, pop, 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 and it started shooting pieces of a steak out of the because I had taken the front part off. So the blower part.
Yeah.
A snake had crawled up in there.
Well, that's not a fun find.
No, so the fan, it got cut up and spit out at me. And so now I'm screaming like I'm brave, but I don't.
You're not going to sleep the rest of that night, even if it gets cool in the room.
I don't know if I want to use the air conditioner now. Now that I know snakes can crawl up there, but yeah, that was horrible. But once again,
you had the guts to jump in and open the thing up, right?
Yeah, and it did. It worked. Again, it worked as long as we lived there. So, Be brave. I've fixed VCRs back in the day with the, like you said, appliances. But once you get that confidence, you're willing to at least try.
Well, because what you're talking about, those aren't carpentry things. Those aren't carpentry skills that you're talking about.
Yeah.
And you're trained carpenter, right? Mm-hmm. You're not trained any of these, but it's exactly what we said. Once you learn a few things, I was just a complete dope in high school when it came to cars. I had friends who loved cars. They would futz with their car. That wasn't my thing at all. And I just assumed that I was just an idiot when it came to cars. It was not my thing. I'm not mechanically inclined. But man, the lack of money will propel and will cause you to do a lot of things and to dig in. I could either, do nefarious things to try to get money, or I could try to fix the things that are broken. And I learned to swap, change brakes and the fun of it. It really becomes quite fun. Once you get over that initial fright of I'm jumping into something really over my head. But I had done a few little things around the house, and I thought, those have worked. Why can't I do that?
It's already broken. Like,
what's the worst I can do? Well, with the brakes, I guess it could be severe, but
I've done mechanic work too. Yeah.
It gets in you, and you realize that. I guess the thing I look at is every time something goes wrong, the kids will call, because now I've got 5 kids. Multiple people have cars, so everything breaks more readily now because there's just more of them. And that's always the first thought. Is this something I can hack and something I can tackle? And I'll look it up. And sometimes it is. Sometimes it's something, we can do this. We can do this really easily. Yeah. And sometimes it's no. I know better than to jump into that. So when you started this whole thing, how long ago did you start this academy?
I just started the academy, I think back in August, but I didn't know how to start it. I've been actually working on this for about a year now. And I was teaching at a high school, so just some kids at a high school. And I know that for me, I don't want to physically do it anymore. Not on a 4:00 in the morning till 3:00 in the afternoon setting. I don't want to do it. I want to do it for myself. So I thought I still like carpentry. Like, I still love what I can do. And I've had so many, people and women come to me and say, man, I wish I could. One lady said, if I could do what you could do, my house will look different every year. She said, I would just change things.
Yeah.
And I thought, but you can do it. So, and I did want to teach it, and I wanted it online. And so I started putting it together. And at first it was just a YouTube channel, and, I had to go through all of my technical training because, like I tell people, I'm a carpenter. All of this, how to work this and work that, is just, that's a learning process.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I'm at now with that. And so, yeah, I put it together, and so far I've gotten um, people that really want to learn. But what I'm finding is that it is an investment. And a lot of times, a lot of women will want to just go get the $16 multi-tool kit with the little bitty. and and I'd say that's fine. That's fine if that's where you want to start until you feel like you're gonna make a commitment. But tools can get expensive, and I understand that. But I just want to help people, like I said, not just for economic economic
Yeah.
causes or whatever reasons, yes. But also the joy of making stuff. I've made chopping boards and Christmas trees, and once again, I just feel like if people or more women get in touch with their tools and get involved and learn how to use them, just the possibilities are so endless of what you'll be able to do, and the confidence that it brings is also priceless.
Do you see a lot of women not jumping in? I know that the audience that I've got out here, you're talking to a lot of people, a lot of women who jump into the DIY projects, for sure painting and stuff like that. You still see a lot of women that kind of shy away from certain levels of this.
Yeah, I think.
Okay, what do you see?
I see that like in the carpentry and the union, the retention for women is not very high. And I think that's because I get it too. It's hard. It's a job there that you're working in the weather a lot of times. You may get rained out, but cold doesn't matter, hot doesn't matter, windy doesn't matter.
What kind of carpentry did you do? So you were doing, did you do finished carpentry, rough-in, all of it?
Actually, back in my time, back in the dinosaur days, I'm saying back in the 80s when I learned, you had to learn pretty much
all of it.
Kind of all of it. Like furniture is considered carpentry, but I'm not a furniture builder. So I started off with residential, and we were doing repairs, remodelings, and this was in New Orleans. So windows because back then they had old homes have windows with weights in them.
Yep.
So back in that day. So yeah, we would do that type of stuff, additions. And so I started off with residential. And then when I joined the union, that was commercial or industrial. So power plants.
So you were doing everything.
Yeah. So I've done concrete work, which I had done concrete work on a smaller scale on the additions, but now concrete work for a power plant was really cool because foundations were like 4 and 6 feet deep and, 80 feet long. So it was massive.
You can hide a lot of stuff in all that concrete, right?
Well, we weren't allowed to do all that. But, I did learn that if you write your name on a piece of wood on the formwork with a pencil, mm-hmm. the concrete will suck in the lead and your name will be forever in that foundation. Yeah. So, yeah, my name is in the foundation in California. I'm not going to say where, but but then,
so it can be tough work.
It can be hard, yes. And so I understand why a lot of women would shy away from it for a career, So I think after it gets past a level of like finished work, but then now they've made it into different sectors. You don't have to know everything. You can actually just go into and be a finished carpenter. You can go and do just drywall or metal studs or stuff like that. And I have worked for a company that did stage work. Mm-hmm. So there's so many different things in carpentry that now you can choose from to do. So I would say, if you want to get into it, you don't have to do form work. You don't have to do concrete. Even painting in the union goes under carpentry. So there's some things, and it still pays the same. So there's some things that you can do that's not heavy work. But I do find that a lot of women, that's why I say that, because if they don't know that, they still think, oh, carpentry, And yeah, there's jobs where you're going to have to wear your harness and your tool bag, and it can be very heavy and very strenuous. But then also jobs, mill work, is under carpentry. So there's some jobs that are less heavy and you still make a really good income. So I would say don't shy away too fast.
You enjoyed it?
When I was young, I am woman, hear me roar.
Yeah.
And I would sing that song on the jobs too. And I did enjoy it. But, as you get older, I got tired of proving myself on every job. You got to kind of prove yourself. It never goes. It never goes away because, once you complete a job, you go to the next job.
And
unless you're going to and it's
over.
new people. Yeah. So, and then you got to start that process over again. But that wasn't, I just kind of, after a while, I was able to just ignore that. Like, I don't even have time
yeah.
for all this. But I think what made me really just kind of come to the end of wanting to do the union work is just that as I'm aging, my shoulders, my wrists, I'm kind of going to the chiropractor, going to acupuncturist, trying to just keep my body going strong because I was working in finish work, but still we had to lift the walls and there was still a lot of stuff that needed to be lifted and that whole process. And I just feel like it doesn't give you time to actually focus on healing your body where you can say, I'm going to go to the gym and try and do strengthening. They don't care. They don't care what kind of condition you're in. Get the job done. That's what it is. And I thought I got to find a better way than this because this is gonna, I don't want to retire. And then, now I'm in a wheelchair and I injured my knee getting into a scissors lift. I hit my knee and chipped the bone. And that was a wake up call for me because I had, like I said, I've fallen through
you glued your
floors
hands together. You've done
I've done so many things, but I would always heal. And so when I hit my knee, it hurt, but I didn't make a big deal about it. I didn't report it or anything. And then it hurt for like a month and it kept swelling and then it would go down and I would think, oh, great, it's getting better. Mm-hmm. And then the swelling would come back. And finally, after I went to the doctor, they x-rayed and they said, well, you chipped the bone and that bone fragment keeps traveling around. Yeah, so that's why it's swelling and then goes down. And that's when I thought, I've never not healed. I've never not been able to just take it and keep moving, walk it off. But
age really stinks sometimes.
It does.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah, so that's whenever I thought,
let's find something else. But still, you've still got these skills. That's the beautiful thing about the trades and stuff is even as you adjust and pivot, you've still got these skills, these things that you know how to do. You can teach. You still can do plenty of it in your own home for friends as you desire.
Yes,
and all of
as
those
I
things.
desire, and that's that's why I kind of opened the academy because I thought, once you learn how to use tools and understand basic principles like plumb, level, and square. Plumb, level, and square. It needs to be plumb, level, and everything is based on it being square. Even if you build a circle, you're going to start with a square, and then you have to kind of what's going to hold that up. Something has to be. It has to be on center, So those basic concepts, I thought, if people could learn that, and if people could learn how to use their tools, your imagination can run wild. Like I said, I couldn't afford a Christmas tree one year, so I made one.
You made a Christmas tree. No, you said that earlier. I didn't realize the depth of what you did. So how did you make a Christmas tree?
I took a pole, and then at the time, which I'm going to do it again, one year, not this year, but because I'm going to use plywood. This was a smaller tree. I took a pole and then I took the thick styrofoam that's not really bendable and I cut it in a circle and I put it around the pole and then I got the little angle brackets and screwed it to the pole to hold up the styrofoam. And I just made each level smaller.
A little bit smaller.
Yeah, and then I just got lights, and I have my little Christmas houses that I like, my little Christmas village. So I made a little village on one, and then like on the next level, I did like the little Rudolph the
Yeah.
red-nosed reindeer, and
Yeah.
until it went up, and then I just and got a star. But it turned
It's
out
pretty
it was
crazy
pretty cool.
the stuff that you'll do. Yeah. I built at our old house. I took the kids loved watching it when they were little. That we would watch Little House on the Prairie, if you remember that show,
Yeah.
and Gunsmoke. I mean, some westerns and things like that. And that's what they loved watching. And so I built in this little 12 by 12 room, whatever it was a little storage room in our basement. I built a little western town, like with
Oh,
little
yeah.
doors that they could walk into. So there were 3 rooms in there. There was a general store, a sheriff's
Yeah.
office, and then a little house. And yeah, that doesn't sound like anything except for the fact that I know where I come from, and I didn't have these abilities. And, that was a bridge too far for me if I hadn't done some of these little steps along the way.
Yeah.
And it just made me confident. Did I do the best job? I don't know. I think I did a good job, but the kids loved it. It was a ton of fun. And that's really what it's all about. It's just
Exactly.
jumping in. And I can't tell you how much fun I had thinking through, how am I going to make that? How is
Yeah.
that going to be? How do I take that and condense it, make
And
it
you
small
see it in
enough
your
here,
mind. Yeah.
and then to
then
make it real.
yeah, and then to make it real is just really cool because yeah, that's what I was like. I had the Christmas tree idea, and I had to go find these parts. Like, how can I make this work? Like, this is gonna be so cool, but
Yeah.
how do I put it together? So it's a lot of fun. I love it.
So
Yeah.
what's your vision for the Crafty Carpenter and your academy moving forward? What do you think in the next couple of years? What do you see?
I'm hoping to see a lot of women. I want us to be able to, like I said, just share with each other, use our tools, get online and say, a place where you can get online and say, hey, I want to change the handles on my cabinet door, or I think I want to like give my kitchen a new look. What's your ideas? And be able to bounce ideas off each other, or even say, hey, I pulled the cabinets off the wall, and this is what I found back there, and now how do I address this situation? So I want it to be a place where women can grow and learn and express and share projects, because it's also a lot of fun that when you build something to be able to say, look at this is so cool, this is what I did. It's how do I get all this glue off my fingers? Just a place
Right.
where
You're gonna
women
need paint
can,
thinner for that.
yeah. But a place where we can all come together and share our projects and learn from each other. Electrician, I was going to say, is the one thing that I've never, my dad was like, let me come, let me show you how. And nope, I'm not, because I, at the time, felt like if I fell off the ladder, I glued my hands together, electrical work, I'm not going to kill myself. Like,
Yeah.
that's electrical work. So that's always made me a little bit nervous. But, I have done a couple of little outlets, or like, you have to cut drywall around the outlet or something, but I turn the power off, certain basic things. But, so just even stuff like that, like, hey, I want to put drywall, or I had one lady, she wanted just to simply hang some, blinds by her windows, and she was scared. And so I did a video for her this is how your windows are framed. Windows and doors are framed like this. You got a good 3 inches on either side and a whole header above. So this is the area. And then if you want to go past that area, this is the kind of bolts you're going to use, because that you can, if you're not
Right.
going into a stud, you still can hang your stuff. You just can't hang it with a normal screw. So just, stuff like that. Like
How did it end for her? Did she pull
she
it
never
off?
told me.
Oh, see,
She never. I know.
she
It's
needs to
just
come back and show
she
you
needs
that
to
it
come
worked.
back, yeah, and show me that. I would love to see, and that's what I'm saying. To share your work, I would have. Maybe she hasn't done it yet. I don't know, but she never came back. But that's out there,
Yeah.
like, understand, if you understand the framing around your windows and doors, now everything. Once now if you want to hang a door, you have to understand the framework, where
And it's
your nailing is.
yeah, we talked about that earlier. I know I did a segment on our radio show, I don't know how long ago, earlier this summer, maybe earlier this spring. but it was the anatomy of framing, of a house.
Okay.
And, it's just brilliant and riveting to listen to on the radio, I'm sure. I did my best to make it as entertaining as possible. But it's so interesting to me because all of what you just said, you have a better understanding for what's going on behind the walls. And you feel more confident doing other things because at least to some extent, what's going on. And the other thing that really hit me, I don't remember if I even said it out loud in the show, but some of the terminology with, all the framing materials, I'm not comfortable with. I just didn't know it, and you feel like a complete idiot using the wrong word or saying something. So what I would do is I would avoid any conversations in the paint store. I would avoid conversations other places where I had to call those terms and bring those terms up. And it limited, some of the things I would even ask in the stores, and just learning a little bit of the vocab. This is what that's called. I can have that conversation. I don't have to worry about being stupid about it. I understand it. And now people can help me and I can move ahead. For me, I hate feeling stupid. So I would avoid those things. Just the language alone helped me a lot. So your academy, is that largely, it seems like it's exclusively a woman's thing, right?
It is.
Just for
I
women?
do have actually, I think there is a man or two in there, but so I haven't excluded men, but I was trying to make it a place for women because, like I said, my experience on jobs and then, like you said, terminology, and I just feel like there's a lot of a sense of intimidation that women can feel trying to learn carpentry or a trade, and so I just wanted to make a place where you don't have to feel intimidated, and I encourage people to ask why, why am I nailing it here instead of I wanted it there, or why is going to take you from not understanding to being an expert. You got to just keep asking the whys.
Yeah,
So
gotta have the questions. So
I
for
just
anybody
wanted
out there who's thinking about, like my daughter, honestly, one of the trades, she's in college now, one of the trades she's thought about going into was carpentry. And she talked about that earlier in the summer. I didn't really know what to tell her. I know how to get into plumbing. I know how to get into electrical. So quite honestly, what I did at that point was I suggested, hey, well, what about plumbing? First off, if I ever need plumbing, it'd be nice to have somebody in the family that can fix it. Like if she wanted to get into carpentry, what is the roadmap? Does she have to find somebody and then start an apprenticeship, ask for an apprenticeship? What would you
no,
recommend?
I would recommend her going to the union, because the union, once again, you go through their apprenticeship program, and it's a 4-year program. I don't know what the pay scale is in Michigan, but all I'm saying is it's higher than, McDonald's, gas station, or, your normal kind of teenage jobs. I know in Vegas, it starts off at $21 an hour, and you get a raise every 6 months or every so many hours that you complete. Then you get a raise, and you do this race for 4 years, and then you journey out. Now you're a journeyman. I will say the pay scale I know in Las Vegas is like $72 an hour. So it is well worth it. You're going through the apprenticeship. Like you said, you're not incurring college fees. So you're getting paid while you're learning. You're going to end up with a really nice, income. And you can choose these days. So she can choose if she wants to, do you ever let her work with you in painting?
Yes, she's helped with.
Okay, so she can go into the union. Actually, if she went to the union, and if you took her to the union and said, this is my daughter, she's been painting with me this many years, they may start her on a higher level than just a first grade apprentice. They may start her higher. But if she wants to do finish work, she's got some choices out there where she doesn't, a lot of options. She doesn't have to do concrete or heavy type work, so if she's interested, go girl, that's good.
Yeah, no,
yeah.
And I know that she's facing, probably fewer. There's still fewer women. I think you said 4% was the number.
Yeah, it was like 4 or 6%. It was like, oh my God.
Yeah, but maybe you can get that number up. I think it's a really great thing. Yeah, I think that's, So this academy that you've got going, is there a charge for that? How does that part work?
No, the academy is actually free to join. I charge for liaison work for like people, men or women, who are getting a project done. And then I'm that liaison between them and the contractor, because like you said, the terminology, permits that they have to pull, all of these things that have to be done. And I just kind of keep, the contractor should have, it's called critical path, where he has it laid out in a timely fashion. Everything should be clear and understood. And I still think that's kind of intimidating for a lot of people to talk to a contractor, but, and I kind of just feel like, there's still a lot of, there's a lot of trust, I feel like, that's involved, just because they don't understand. So they have to trust this contractor. And so I try to put myself as a liaison, because I know what you're talking about. And you don't have to feel intimidated asking me or talking to me, and I can talk to that person. And then I also charge for larger projects that if people want me to actually walk them personally through putting up a petition wall, or, they want to put a deck outside, or, a project that they want to do hands-on, but they still feel kind of unsure about it, then I charge consultation for that.
Now,
But
do you do that local? Do you do that online?
Online.
I mean, so you'll help anybody anywhere?
Anybody, anywhere. Yes.
Yeah, because I got listeners in Detroit. I've got listeners on the west side of the state, and who knows where else anybody else is finding this.
Yeah, it's cool.
Let's give them some information. If they want to reach out to you, how do they find you?
You could go online to the YouTube channel. Everything of finding me is really easy. It's always the Crafty Carpenter. So YouTube channel, the Crafty Carpenter, and then the school, which is a platform that's spelled SKOOL. It's school community. And then you just type in their search bar, the Crafty Carpenter. I should come up, but it's called the Crafty Carpenter DIY Academy.
All right.
Yeah. And on there, you can message me and do all kinds of stuff. Also in the school part, I have a PDF. You can get a couple of free downloads. Like the videos are posted there too, but like there's a PDF on every hand tool that I could think of. I don't want to say every hand tool that exists, but I think there's it's about 200 pages, but it's every hand tool that I could think of, what it's for, how to use it, safety tips, and any tips that I could think of do's and don'ts with the tool. I haven't done one on power tools yet. I plan to, but and then there's also a PDF in there about there's two on the tools. One is like, if you're just getting started, what are you going to need? So that's just about 5 or 6 tools. And then the other one is more in depth as far as if you're doing drywall or this or that. And then there's also just a little crafty project for what are they called? What are those shelves called that
You're going to put me on the spot. I have no idea.
I'm on the spot. The shelves that don't have the brackets to hold them up, floating shelves.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So there's a PDF in there too. How
to pull that
how
off.
how to make floating shelves.
All
so that's all for free. So
I'll put links in the notes, in the description of this video and stuff, so people can find it.
Okay.
They want to dig into that a little bit more. So what do you got going? We're December 13 as we record this. What do you got cooking for Christmas? Big plans, or do you stay where you're at? You're in Mexico, you said, right? I
am in Mexico, and I have 2 of my children here. One lives in Mexico City, and the other one is still a teenager, so he's here. I don't know. We're, of course, cooking. That's always a given. But I was going to go shopping today, but now I don't know if I feel like it. I was thinking about, I have this piece of pecan wood that somebody gave me. Yeah. It's a live wood slab, so it's like raw.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about making a bathtub tray.
Oh, really?
I don't know if I want to make a bathtub tray or a charcuterie board, but I keep looking at that board and I keep thinking, and it's kind of curved. So I'm thinking, okay, so if I can make it straight and put the resin in there, with the resin, look, what color should I use? So I'm thinking about making a project for Christmas, but I did make all of my kids' chopping boards. So that was really my gift.
Really cool. Well, good luck with everything. I'd certainly like to, touch base with you from time to time. Maybe we
Yeah,
could pick a couple topics sometime down the road and just let you run
like,
through some of the stuff
that
that you
would
would
be
normally
great and
do.
awesome. Yeah. I'm so
So,
glad you had me here. I really enjoyed this.
yeah, it's a lot of fun talking to you. So,
All
all
right.
right, take
All
care.
right. You too.
So, the trades, a great opportunity, a great option when it comes to a career path choice, a great alternative to college and just some of the other options out there, a great way to go in that regard. But also, I hope what you got out of this was just the idea that whether or not you're even thinking about going into the trades, the other aspect of this is just getting your hands dirty, working on projects around the house, getting comfortable around tools. If you're not comfortable around tools, or if you are comfortable around tools, getting comfortable around the next level of tools. I think that's probably the case for a lot of us. We're comfortable with certain aspects of things, certain tools we work with, and then other ones just seem out of our reach. I remember, sounds dumb, but I remember years back going from the little tiny bench saw that I had that scared me to death because of what it looked like and how it sounded, and it just seemed like death on the counter or death on the workbench waiting to claim me. I started with that, and when I made the shift to a full-on table saw, it's a little intimidating. There's a lot more going on. I found it's a lot easier to work with the table saw than it was to work with the little bench saw. But making that jump, there's a level that we get to that we're comfortable, a certain type of project that we're willing to tackle and handle. And sometimes we stop there. We just figure that next level, that next tier is too much for us, but it's not. Jump in, get moving, propel yourself forward. Just keep trying. Ask questions when you need to ask questions. There are experts everywhere that will love to talk to you about it. Whether you're tackling a painting project or whatever you're tackling. And when we talk about painting projects, if you're looking for that gateway project, something simple to get you on this DIY path, on this path of feeling comfortable tackling things around your home, paint project is about as easy as it gets. You can have great results with that, and it really just opens up your eyes to what you can accomplish in your home and around your home. All right. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. It really helps us out. And if you're new here, don't forget to hit subscribe and then ring that little bell. And that way you'll be notified whenever we post new content. We'd also love to hear from you, so leave a comment below with your thoughts and questions, and who knows, maybe we'll feature some of those things in an upcoming episode. All right, thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.